This is the ROG Xbox Ally X, and it is the template and future of the Xbox brand, in my opinion. I think that this OS functionality is the only path forward for Xbox, and if I were at the helm, I would figure out how to get it working on all existing Xbox platforms today. Before I dive more into that, I've had a few days with the ROG Xbox Ally X, which was provided by Microsoft for review. I've been tinkering, playing some amazing games on it, and I'll share my thoughts with you in a second. But first, let's rewind into time to when I got this thing and unboxed it. In this box is the ROG Xbox Ally X, and I'm going to unbox it for you right now. Okay, let's get to it. There it is, everybody. This is the ROG Xbox Ally X. I just got it and I cannot wait to unbox this for you. Let's dive right in. So first things first, notice the amazing design on the outer part of the box. Let's open it up. Boom, there we go. We have a little piece of tape here. Let's give that a quick cut. Is there another one on the bottom? There it is. Let's cut that open. Boop. All right, let's open this bad boy up. Okay, there it is. On the top, you have your stand, and then they have some details about what you can actually find inside of said box. There is the actual handheld itself. I'm gonna go ahead, turn this around, and let's see what we got here. It says there's a little stand in here. So let's take the stand out so that we can display said unit. And there's the stand. So we're gonna take the actual handheld itself out right now. I have played one of these multiple times at several events around the world. Tricky. I think most people would probably just rip into that. There is the unit itself. Let's set that aside. It sits very nicely in its stand. Let's see what else we got in here. So that is the actual handheld itself. And then we have components here in a nice little box. Let's open up the box, see what's in there. There is your power cable. As you can see, very nice, very compact. And then over here, we have a few documents, I guess. Let's just open it up. It's some manuals. Do you remember these? These are paper manuals. We used to get these all of the time. And then in here, this is just empty. This is nothing. That's it. Unit, you get a little charging stand and you get the power plug. Let's bring it downstairs, boot it up, and I will do some voiceover now that we've unboxed it. That was the fastest unboxing I think I've ever done. Did I miss anything? No. All right, well, let's go over to the other studio really quick. So after a very fast unboxing, let's talk about the physical features of the unit. The ROG Xbox Ally X has your standard trigger and bumper buttons with a nice pattern on the back for grip. It also has a programmable extra M1 and M2 button built into the back. There are fans on the top and back end of the unit that will occasionally vent air when it heats up. And of course, it has offset sticks, a D-pad, and those classic Xbox XYAB buttons we all love wrapped in the ergonomic edges of an Xbox controller. Oh, and there's rumble built in, of course, and it feels just like an Xbox controller should, with HD haptics working as advertised. There's a 6-axis IMU gyro, but I haven't really used that. I'm just gonna be honest. I did use the 2 speakers though, and while I haven't heard them mentioned all that much, they sound surprisingly good.
This'll be just like old times. Come on, it looks like Nefarious landed somewhere near the train station.
I usually think speakers sound terrible on a handheld, but the smart amp technology must be working overtime because I did actually notice they sound quite nice. On top, we have a USB-C for power, one for output, a volume button, a UHS 2 micro SD card reader that supports SD, SDXC, and SD8C, a 35mm headphone jack, and a power button with built-in thumbprint accessibility. Inside the handheld supports 24GB of LPDDR5 memory and a 1TB PCIe 4.0 NVMe M2 SSD 2280. Of course, it has the 10-point multi-touch screen protected by Gorilla Glass Victus and DXC with a 500 nit brightness screen with a 120 Hz refresh rate, variable refresh rate, AMD Ryzen
A1Z2 Extreme processor, 2 GHz, 24 megabytes cache, up to 5 GHz, 8 cores, 16 threads, AMD XDNA, NPU up to 50 tops, and the AMD Radeon GPU. And an 80 watt hour battery, which means more gaming for longer periods of time. And all of that will only run you $1,000. So the tech specs all seem great, let's be honest. But how do the games run? Well, I'm happy to say that in my experience, most run pretty great out of the box. That means I just boot it up and play. And the one great thing that really sets it apart is the fact that it can support a 1080p native resolution with the option to use features like AMD RSR or resolution downgrades to push the games where you need just a little bit more FPS out of them. I won't lie, I really like it. I haven't had any issues. Games look and play great on it. I haven't had the chance to do any extensive testing on here, mostly because games just work out of the box. Everything I booted up handled roughly a 30 FPS target or near it with ease. And once I started tinkering, I was able to hit around 60 FPS, even with games like Returnal that have very few optimization options built in. Here are how some of the games I tested ran. Ratchet & Clank was running 30 to 40 FPS after some light tweaking of the settings. God of War Ragnarok, 30 to 40 FPS. Marvel Spider-Man, 30 to 45 FPS out of the box. Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, near lock, 30 FPS. Returnal, 60 FPS with optimized settings, 30 FPS out of the box. Uncharted Legacy of Thieves, near locked, 60 FPS out of the box. Death Stranding, 30 to 60 FPS in the introductory areas anyway. And yes, I have heard this thing plays Xbox games too. There's a few interesting UI elements here. Those who own an ROG Ally might be familiar with. You have the Armory crate where you're able to use some key features like that resolution adjustment option that I mentioned, and you are able to launch into Windows by just holding the Xbox button down and then launching it. It even prompts to let you know that you will lose some performance in your games. To get back, you just restart, and by default it launches in game mode. And I think the Xbox store is much improved over where it was, but I did have a few slight quirky issues, like the fact that Steam games would not let me pair a external controller and play for some reason. I don't know why, but my complaints are overall minimal. The ROG Xbox Ally X is likely going to be a test case for what Xbox will do with the future of the brand. They've been hinting for years now that they want to tear down barriers and allow more people to play more games in more places. If you noticed, I only play games from PlayStation or former PlayStation exclusives, and that's the drive home a point. Xbox doesn't care. The new UI is clearly built in a way that encourages you to stick in the Xbox Store and Xbox app, but it's not afraid to launch Steam, Epic, GOG, or other launchers. It's really your choice, and I love that. Look, I do believe that the ROG Xbox Ally X gives us a glimpse into the future of Xbox gaming. Granted, this is a partner device. It still runs on a version of Windows that's optimized for gaming, and so far, it seems like it's optimized quite well. While I do think the device is a great option for on-the-go gaming, its hefty price tag sets it apart for the wrong reasons. You can get 2 Steam Deck LCD units for the price of one ROG Xbox Ally X, or you can get a Steam Deck OLED for almost half the cost. Yes, you lose some battery life, hard drive space, and CPU power, but the sticker shock is unavoidable. I had hoped that the Steam OLED would be blown out of the water here, and yes, you do get a crisper image if you're running at 1080p, but because you're playing on a smaller screen, that additional resolution doesn't really do anything to improve frame rate, which seems comparable to the Steam Deck performance in a lot of scenarios, even if the resolution bump is immediately apparent to those with a keen eye. There's no doubt that Xbox and ROG have something cool here. The question looking forward will be whether or not people pick it up at the price offered. Time will tell, but if you did buy one, I do not think you'll be disappointed. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell if you want to know when my content goes live. A huge thank you to all of the members, Chris, Freddy, Philaroni, and Aries EMS. Thank you for backing the channel. If you would like to back my work, the best place to do so is on patreon.com/SaveStatePlus or by becoming a YouTube member. I'm going to get out of here, but before I do, check out my prediction about what the next generation of Xbox hardware will be, and I'll see you for the next one.